This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
Inside Alcatraz by Jim Quillen. Read by Jeff Harding. I wish to dedicate this book to my loving wife, Leonie Marie Quillen. Thank you for your patience, encouragement, and understanding of the mood swings I experienced when recalling the unpleasant memories necessary to write this book. Had you given less, it would never have reached completion. Author's Note. This book is an autobiography describing the progressive and insidious nature of involvement in crime. It illustrates how minor infractions of the law, if unchecked, may escalate into major criminal activities. The ensuing consequences may be death or years of incarceration, humiliation, and degradation. It was only through the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ and His intercession that my life of hopeless incarceration was averted. His help and forgiveness permitted me to obtain freedom, family, and a useful and productive place in society. As gratifying as it was to achieve a presidential pardon and a gubernatorial pardon, it will be more fulfilling if this book deters others from making the mistakes I made. There is no glamour in prison. There is only loneliness, fear, heartbreak, and sorrow. While writing this book, I resolved to write what in my opinion was truth as best I could determine without exaggeration or distortion. Many conclusions and opinions were based on what I personally saw or heard. In other instances, I had to rely on my personal knowledge and observations as well as conversations with reliable guards and inmates. I believe I came to logical, reasonable conclusions. My writing was done without malice and with no intent to defame, malign, or injure any person or persons in the process. My intent was to show Alcatraz, the administration, Bureau of Prisons, guards, and inmates as they really existed. Alcatraz was always a prison shrouded in secrecy, and many facts and occurrences were hidden from public scrutiny. The public was allowed to know only what the Bureau of Prisons and the administration wanted known. Much of what was disclosed was distorted, exaggerated, or glossed over with misleading statements or untruths. The inmates were not without blame in many instances, and I had no intent to justify their actions. The purpose of prison is to incarcerate the criminal, not to brutalize him physically, mentally, and spiritually until death is preferable to any existence in such a prison. I will let the reader decide if this is what drove some inmates to atrocious actions. Jim Quillen, 1991. Preface. Alcatraz, 11 p.m., August 28, 1942. With a crash, the steel gate slammed shut, a sound that seemed to bring finality to everything that life had to offer. I walked into the small 6 by 9 by 7 foot gray cell that was to be my home for years to come. I saw a steel bed, a straw mattress, and a dirty lumpy pillow. The cell was lighted only by the large overhead lights outside, which illuminated each cell enough to enable the guards to make their numerous nightly counts. I noticed the cell contained a toilet with no seat. At the end of the bed next to the toilet was a small wash basin with only one tap. Cold water. Above the sink was a single shelf that extended the entire width of the cell. Next to the bed was a small metal table that folded down flat against the wall. This was my home. I realized that at 22 years of age, this was to be my home, my future, for years to come, and possibly the place of my death. As I looked about me, it was as though the room began to close in, with some strange odor that dominated the air and stifled me. I suddenly realized it was an odor I must learn to live with. the smell of a marking pen that gave me my new identity. It was on my bedding and my clothing.